Hi, my name is Sylvia, and for this project, I chose to focus on the Tang Dynasty, which is remembered as one of the greatest and most celebrated eras in Chinese history. In my essay, I studied how the Tang Dynasty combined political stability, cultural brilliance, and international connections to shape what many historians call the Golden Age of Chinese civilization. When I began this project, my initial knowledge of the dynastic China was fairly limited. I knew the dynasties followed one another in cycles of rise and fall, and I'd heard that the Tang was considered a high point, but I didn't understand why it was so important. Honestly, I assumed its greatness was based mainly on military conquests or on having powerful emperors. I hadn't realized just how many other factors, like literature, art, philosophy, and innovations, were central to the Tang Dynasty's legacy. Through my research and writing process, I uncovered many transformative insights. Politically, I was struck by how the Tang rulers used the mandate of heaven to justify their rule, but also how they had to prove their worth through good governance. One of the biggest changes they made was creating a civil service examination system. Instead of only giving power to the nobles or aristocrats, they opened opportunities to educated men from across the empire. This showed me that the Tang Dynasty valued talent, learning, and virtue as the foundation of government service. That kind of merit-based system was a huge step forward and influenced China for centuries forward. Another insight I found fascinating was the cosmopolitan nature of the Tang society. The capital, Chang'an, was not just a Chinese city, it was an international hub of culture, religion, and trade. Because of the Silk Road, goods, people, and ideas flowed in from Central Asia, India, and the Middle East, and beyond. That created an atmosphere of openness that was very different from what I expected of a medieval empire. It helped me realize how globally connected China was, even in the 7th and 8th centuries. Culturally, I learned why the Tang was remembered as Golden Age. The poetry of Li Bao and Du Fu was not only beautiful, but also reflected real human experiences: nature, friendship, political struggles, and even personal suffering. Their work is still read and admired today, which shows the lasting impact of Tang literature. I also learned that Buddhism flourished during this era, shaping philosophy, daily life, and the arts. The Buddhist cave paintings at Duhuang are a perfect example of how Chinese and foreign influences blended together to create something entirely new. On top of that, the Tang period brought advances in technology like woodblock printing, which made it easier to spread ideas, religious texts, and literature to ordinary people. All of this gave me some change in perspective. Before, I thought the dynasties were mainly in terms of political history: who ruled, what wars were fought, and when they ended. But now I realize that cultural and intellectual achievements often define a dynasty's legacy, even more than military victories. The Tang Dynasty was strong politically, but its openness to ideas, its investment in education, and its contributions to art and science are what truly made it great. That shift in perspective has helped me see history in a more well-rounded way. Finally, this project has really deepened my appreciation of Chinese history. The Tang Dynasty really shows how a civilization can thrive when it balances strong leaders with cultural creativity and openness to outside influences. I now see Chinese history not just as a series of dynasties replacing one another, but as a continuous tradition of learning, innovation, and adaptation. The Tang's legacy, whether through its poetry, its bureaucracy, or its internationalism, still echoes in China today, and it has also left its mark on the wider world. Overall, this assignment gave me a richer understanding of China's dynastic history and helped me appreciate the Tang Dynasty not just as a period of political power, but as a cultural and intellectual turning point that shaped East Asia and beyond. Thank you.